This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so as we discussed in our last session, that we will be now talking about the initial load in detail. Okay, and then if time permits, we will also talk about the period end activities and some other activities which are not supported by central finance. Okay, so let me just quickly go to this is my target system. So if I want to do the initial load, let me talk about what exactly is initial load, although we discussed it earlier, but now let's discuss in detail. So in any project, whether you are doing a new implementation, okay, or you are doing the system conversion, there is always some data which you need to bring in before you start doing the day-to-day transactions. Okay, so just think an example that you are doing the new implementation. In the new implementation also, before you hand it over the system to the end users, you need to perform some data migration. For example, you need to migrate the master data, you need to migrate some of the open transactional data, right? You need to migrate the open invoices from AP and AR point of view. You need to migrate the open asset balances. Okay, so all those things which we normally do in the greenfield implementation, in order to make the system ready to be used by the end user, same way, whenever we are doing the central finance project also, whenever we are implementing this central finance project, even there also we need to load some data. Okay, so I'll give the example. Let's say a customer is using SAP ECC from 2010 onwards. Okay, this is just an example. If this customer is using SAP ECC from last 10 years, okay, and now is implementing SAP Central Finance. Okay, so now onwards, which means let's assume that today is 14th of August and customer is planning to go live from 1st of September 2020. So when he when he goes live on 1st of September 2020, starting from this date onwards, whatever transactions would be done in ECC, okay, so this is my source, and whatever transactions would be done in ECC, that would be transferred to Central Finance on the real-time basis. As soon as the transaction is posted in ECC, it will go to Central Finance. So if I want to generate my report starting from 1st of September 2020, I'll be able to see all my transactions appearing in my Central Finance system. But what about the old transactions? What about the transactions which are posted between 2010 to up to the August 2020? So that is a question mark here. What to be done for the older documents which are there in ECC system, whether those needs to be replicated to Central Finance or not? If yes, whether you need to transfer everything from 2010 onwards or you want to transfer only last 2 years of data. Again, question number two, whether you need to transfer each and every document or you only need to transfer the balances. Okay, so these are the two important questions. Number one, which, or maybe you can say whether the older documents, historical, you can say historical documents, to be replicated or to be loaded. There is a difference between loading and replication. Loading is historical documents, replication is the documents which you are going to post now. So whether the historical documents to be loaded, definitely 99.99% companies will say yes. Definitely we want to transfer the historical data, if not more, at least the current year data. Otherwise, we will not be able to generate our report in Central Finance. Okay, question number two, from which year onwards? From which year onwards loading has to be or documents needs to be loaded? Okay, when I say document, I mean each and every document. So whatever document has been posted in my source system, whether it needs to be loaded to the target system or not. Question number 3 is, from which year onwards only balances needs to be loaded. Okay, so for example, I can say from last we are in 2020. So let's say from 2019 onwards, I want to load each and every document, or maybe I can say from first month of 2020 onwards, I want to load each and every document, and for all the previous years, starting from year 2010 to 2019, I only want to migrate the balances, or maybe I want to migrate the balances only from 2018 onwards. So I don't want to bring any data from year 2010 to 2017. My balances will be migrated from 2018 onwards, and my not open, all the documents need to be migrated from 2020, first month of 2020 onwards. Right? These are two important questions which needs to be cleared if you want to go for the initial load. Okay, and this question is from the source system point of view. So it is possible that in one source system, and even not even in source system, within the source system also company code wise. So let's say I have ECC system. In this ECC system, I have 5 company codes. So I have to take this decision from each company code point of view. For each company code, I can define when to start the document load. Okay, how many years onwards you want to have the loading of the documents. Same way, from which year onwards you want to load the balances. Okay, and this information is the first information that you need to provide in your source system itself before you start do the initial load. Okay, so I'll show you this particular thing, how it has to be handled in the source system. You know, there is only one transaction, that is CFIN IMG in the source system. Okay, and if you open this will open this table. If you remember, I told you that if due to some reason, if this T code is not available in your source system, if you are trying this and it is not showing you this central finance source system settings, then you can directly go to this view. You can directly go to this table where this data is maintained. So which is that table? So if you go to SE16N, or maybe you can go to SM30, it is VCFIN. Let me go to SM30. Why it is not showing the options? Okay, why? VCFIN star, VCFIN source underscore set. You can see this one. VCFIN underscore source underscore set. This is a table. If you click on maintain, it will also open the same thing, what we already opened. Okay, so due to some reason, if you are not able to see CFIN IMG, then only you need to go to this second view, and you can maintain this data directly from the table. Right? So here, if you can see, this is our company code. You can see company code wise. So this is my source system. In my source system, there can be multiple company codes. Some of the company codes may not be available here also. So let's say if I have 10 company codes in my source system, and I only want to replicate, or I want to use only 5 company codes into my central finance system. So here I will be only adding those 5 company codes. It is not necessary that each and every company code of my source system should participate in central finance. According to the company code wise, we can decide which company code would be participating. So if I enter a company code here, it means I want to use this company code in my central finance replication and loading, right? But if I'm not adding this company code here, I can have a source company code which is not added here, which means I don't want to use that company code in my central finance replication, right? So you can see company code wise, system is asking you two things. This is system is asking you balances should be transferred from which year onwards. Okay, this is number one. It is asking you balances. And number two, here it is asking you from which period onwards the documents should be replicated, should be loaded. You can see this is document. and this is balances. So here in my scenario, as I told you, let's assume I want to transfer the balances from 2019 onwards. Okay, and transfer the documents from 2020 onwards. So each and every document which is posted from first month of 2020, I want to perform the load, which means all those documents will be visible in my central finance system. But for 2019, I'm not loading document by document, I'm just loading the balances. And between 2010 and 2018, I'm not loading anything. So this should be very clear to the customer that in central finance system, you'll be only able to perform the reporting from 2019 onwards, because we are not unnecessarily loading historical data. But if a customer says, no, I want to see all those historical data, then maybe you need to consider at least the balance part from 2010 onwards. Okay, recommendation is we should always try to reduce the initial load. Okay, because definitely normally when you talk about the day-to-day reporting, in the day-to-day reporting we normally don't go maybe more than 2 years older data. Whenever we are doing the day-to-day reporting, mostly we execute the reports for the current year, but sometimes some of the reports we want to compare with the previous year. So normally these 2 years are enough, but if a customer says, no, I want to see everything in central finance, I don't want to be dependent on my current system for the historical data, then you don't have any choice and you have to start doing this from 2010 onwards itself. Okay, so more the data, obviously it will take more time to do the initial load, right? So this is what you need to know. This is the first thing that you should know, what exactly needs to be migrated. So you will come here and you will say that the balances will be migrated from 2019 onwards. But when it comes to the actual documents, I want to migrate it from first month of 2020. Okay, so this is very important. This you need to specify, based on which your initial load will work. Now, what if a customer says, I don't want to do the initial load? As I told you, that is normally not possible. But let's consider a scenario. Forget about a customer. Let's say you are doing the testing in this system, exactly what we have done. Right? We also had done the same thing. Without doing the initial load, we started the real-time replication. So what we have done is we just came here and we ticked. Okay, we have not performed any initial load. But there is something called as empty initial load. There is something called as empty initial load. What do you mean by empty initial load? So you want to perform the initial load, but you want to make sure that none of the document is actually loaded. Okay, so what we need to do is, if you want to do the initial load, you have to provide some future date here. Okay, so for example, 2021 and 2021 one. So technically, we are telling the system that yes, we are doing the initial load, but actually speaking, there is no document posted in 2021. Okay, so when I execute my initial load process, the system will understand that yes, you have done the initial load, but actually I know that this is not the actual load, this is just an empty load that I have carried out because it was a mandatory activity. Okay, so whenever you are working on let's say you are testing the scenarios and you don't want to get stuck because your initial load is not completed, you can come here, you can provide your future periods, you can provide your future year as a balance, and you can carry out your empty initial load. Okay, so if you really want to perform the initial load, definitely this would be the date on which, from the year from which you want to transfer the balance, and this would be the year from which and period from which you wanted to transfer the actual documents one by one. Okay, any questions here in this too?
So, because is there any scenario where, so example, we want to do trial balance, and within a trial balance, some specific accounts that we want to move balances,
No,
not the whole.
that will not make sense, Farooq. If you are just transferring the subset of the values, how would you generate your balance sheet and profit and loss for a small number of GL accounts? You need to move everything.
Right.
So the
Yeah.
minimum level you can see is company code. So within company code, whatever different GLs, whatever different cost centers, profit centers, whatever is there, everything has to be moved.
Okay.
We cannot
When
restrict below the company code level.
when we say balances, we still can we can set the year as a 2020 and then move the balances for all the accounts, right? It will not gonna restrict to any account.
Sorry, can you come again?
So when we say that we're gonna load the initial only the balance, not the document level, only the balances of the GL accounts. So the starting balance, the very first field is the where we maintain that year, right?
Right. So here you will say you want to move the balances only from 2020 onwards.
Right.
Okay, and here you will provide some future date. Okay, so for example, 2020 we are already in the 8th month now, but you don't want to transfer a single document. You just wanted to transfer the balance of 2020. So what you need to do here is you can come here and you can say 9, which means system will load all the balances of 2020, but it will not even load a single document in the central finance system because this is a future period.
Okay. What about, is there any middle of the year or end of the period or beginning of the year, any restrictions here that we need to consider?
There are no such technical restrictions, and that is the reason this option is provided from period itself. So see, normally, definitely, if you are implementing central finance or any implementation project, you want to make sure that at least the current year data is completely available. Okay, so for example, if you are implementing, let's say from 1st of September, so you are left with September, October, November, December, only 4 months. But if you generate a report, if you want to generate a balance sheet, profit and loss, those 4 months are not enough. You need to have a complete year. So we wanted to make sure that even if we are implementing from 1st of September, we have a documents, we have all those documents which are required for the balance sheet and profit and loss. So technically we can do this implementation anytime, but make sure that at least 1 year of data is available with all the documents.
Okay. And this is a client level configuration, right? It's not a transportable, right?
No, this is not a, okay, see, this one is transportable, but you can see, let me tell you, if I try to save this, is it asking? Just let me try once again. So if I go to CFIN-IMG, and if you go to CF01, let me change this to 2 and try to save it. See, it is not asking for TN, right? Which means although this activity is a configuration activity, it is available in SPRO itself, but still this has to be handled separately in development, quality and production.
Basically, so this is a cutover activity.
This is a cutover activity, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Vikram, how does the special periods, 4 special periods will be treated here?
No. There is nothing to do with the special period. This is a starting period, Adam. When you say starting period, all the 16 periods are considered for the replication or loading also.
So this period, Vikram, is actually whenever we post a document, the period field is also a separate. But for the special periods, system derives the periods from the posting date, if I'm not wrong.
Right.
So in that case, this is the it is also deriving the periods from the posting date, or it is from the field itself, which is entered in the document.
No. See, you are talking about the initial load, right? This activity or the actual loading of data.
Yeah, means if we because I don't see we have an option for to entering in special period, and so
No.
I assume that it must be taking the periods from the posting dates. It must be deriving the periods from the posting date.
Okay, let me confirm. See, this activity that we are doing, we are telling the system what is my starting period to do the document transfer, to load the documents. So if I'm saying 2020, or let's assume, because special periods will only come in the previous year because we are still in the 7th month, 8th month. So let's say I'm telling the system that start loading the document from 2019 onwards. Okay, so even here also I need to go for 2019, then otherwise it will be wrong. So I'm telling the system that starting from year 2019 and first period onwards, I want to see all the documents available in my central finance system. Now, system will push the documents from the first period, second period, third, fourth, fifth, up to 12. And obviously, if there are any documents which are posted in your special periods also, those would be also loaded onto your target system. So this is a starting period I'm telling the system.
But the second field is a 12. The second field is a 2, right?
No,
Yes,
that
yes.
is different. Don't get confused with this. This is
Oh,
completely different thing. We are discussing this.
got it.
Yeah. As of now, we are not discussed this. We are only discussing this as of now. This 4 fields,
Perfect.
3.
Makes sense.
Adam, have I answered your question? Are you also getting confused with this 12?
Yes, yes.
No. This is different. This is a starting period. There is no end period. This is how much time you want to retain
Oh, I see. I see.
in the transfer tables.
Okay.
Yesterday also, if you remember, we discussed this. So what happens is whenever you are activating this company code for initial load and real-time replication, what happens is there is a table which is a transfer table. You remember which is a transfer table from accounting point of view?
I see something.
This CFIN underscore ACCHD and CFIN underscore ACCIT. The question is how much time the values, once they are available in this table, how much time they will be stored in this transfer tables. Okay, so that is something which you are mentioning here. You're telling the system that keep these values for 12 months.
Okay, clear now. Okay.
Right. You're telling the system keep these values for 12 months. Okay, then you have this GL reconciliation indicator. Okay, what do you mean by GL reconciliation? This is again old terminology that we are using in ECC. When we say GL reconciliation, it is the reconciliation between FI and CO. So normally FI to CO reconciliation is available from years, right? Whenever you post any FI transaction, if it consists of the cost object, immediately FI and CO will reconcile. But the problem comes when you are posting secondary postings in CO and you want to generate the FI document, or you want to make sure that the CO is also reconciled with FI. So reverse direction, CO to FI reconciliation was a problem, was a challenge in the traditional ECC system. What was the solution? In New GL accounting, SAP came up with something called as reconciliation ledger. Let's see. Okay, what is the purpose of reconciliation ledger? To make sure that CO to FI reconciliations are always intact, right? So this GL reconciliation means whenever you are going to post any, see, this is only related to initial load. Whenever you are going to do the initial load, during the initial load, whenever you are going to perform the loading the documents of FI and CO, there might be the cases where your FI and CO documents are not reconciling. Okay, this will only happen if you are, during the initial load, you have an option whether you want to only load FI documents or you want to load CO documents also. So this indicator is only required if you are not loading the CO documents separately, just to make sure that FI and CO documents are reconciled. If you just see this, this will also give you the clear picture. So in this field, you define whether GL reconciliation postings triggered in CO should be replicated to the central finance system during the initial load. So mainly triggered from CO. If they are not reconciling, then you need to reconcile in FI, and that is the reason it has to be replicated to the central finance system. You should only set this flag if secondary costs are not transferred during initial load. Okay, so normally we don't transfer the secondary cost during the initial load, and that is the reason this indicator should be ticked. Okay, so this indicator will make sure that your FI and CO postings that you are replicating to central finance, they are always reconciled.
And why we don't do that the initial load?
It is just an extra effort. So instead of doing that, if in one step you are able to do the FI and CO initial load, that will save your time. That is the only reason. Otherwise, there is no other reason for that.
Okay, so just understanding purposes. So we need this flag to be checked if we are not loading the CO secondary postings, correct?
Exactly.
As an initial load, as an initial load.
As the initial load, yes. It has nothing to do with your real-time replication. This is only for initial load.
But why we wouldn't need it? I mean, I'm just trying to understand any scenario where we don't need it.
No. Let me tell you one scenario. See, let's assume you have posted the FI document. Okay, this is your FI document. This is your GL account. Okay, this is your after the GL account. Let's say this is your cost center, and this is your amount. So GL account number is, let's say, 4000, and I'm just writing one GL which is related to cost. This is CF01-1. This is your cost center, and the amount that you posted is 1000. Now, immediately after that, you have posted another document which is CO, which is you are removing the amount from CF01-1 and moving to CF01-2. Okay, you know the allocations on all those secondary postings that we make. So earlier, when the amount was booked, it was booked to CF01 entire 1000, but later on you realize that out of this 50% should go to CF02. So this is a posting that you have made in CO. Okay, but you are using the primary cost element for doing this, or maybe even the secondary cost element. That is not a problem. But ultimately, whatever transaction you are doing here, if you want to reflect this in FI also, this is called as a reconciliation ledger. Okay, let's assume that these two cost centers are in two different company codes within same controlling area. Then definitely it becomes very important to post in FI, and that is the reason reconciliation ledger postings are required. So what will happen if you don't go with this option? What will happen if you don't load the CO postings? The posting which is loaded from FI would be the partial. It will not give you the clear picture. If you want a clear picture, you want to reconcile the postings with CO, and that is the reason whenever the FI posting would be made, it would be instead of 1000, it would be more 500, and CF02, CF01-2, 500. This would be the good posting instead of just posting the FI posting. Sorry, instead of posting the secondary posting. Are you getting it? So system.
But my books are still okay though. Book wise I'm fine, right? Even if I don't do it.
Accounting books wise, you are fine. Controlling book wise, you are not
fine. Right.
Right. Even even accounting book wise, you are not fine. Sorry for that. Accounting book wise, as long as your cost centers belong to the same company code, you are fine. If your cost centers belong to different company codes, then this is a deviation, right?
That's correct. That's correct. A separate company code is not fine.
Right. So that is the reason it is always recommended to activate this indicator whenever you are doing the initial load. Okay. And next one is, this is where you will tell the system that your initial load activity has been completed or not. So first, initially when you are doing the initial load, this must be always unticked. Okay, only if this is unticked, then only the initial load will work. If you already tick this, this means the system knows that initial load has been completed and it will not be considered in your loading activity. This is technical. As I told you, this is technical. This means in order to improve the performance of the system, because when you are doing the initial load, there will be thousands, millions, billions of transactions. We don't know from which year onwards you want to start processing this. So instead of doing everything at once, system will divide this in the packages. Okay, so if you feel that the speed is slow, you can come here and you can maybe you can say the package size instead of 50, I want to keep it as 30. Okay, but this is completely technical. Normally SAP recommends that you should enter 50 here. Okay, so once this activity is completed, from the source system point of view, you are clear that you want to do the initial load, and from which year onwards you want to do the initial load, from which period onwards you want to do the initial load of the documents, how much time you want to store the data in the transfer tables, and whether you want to include the GL reconciliation during your initial load, or you are going to ignore the CO postings. Okay, so this is the setting that you need to perform in the source system. Now there are a lot of other settings that you need to perform in your target system. So let me
So
go to the target. Yeah.
one question. Sir, suppose, for example, the cutover date is of 31st September. In that case, it is possible that business have not completed its, means we have uploaded the initial load and business doesn't completed its month end activity, and said that means we will keep doing postings, but uh, and in that case, can we means migrate that postings with delta load?
Yes,
Means,
yes, yes. Once you complete the initial load, there is an option of delta load also.
okay.
You can continue to do the delta loads till the time you are not starting the real-time replication.
Okay, so the tick which you are showing, that initial load should be remained there, correct? Till the
That will,
delta load is
yeah, that tick will only be activated as soon as your initial load has been completed. So even if your delta load is pending, you should not go and tick there.
okay.
When you say my initial load is completed, it assumes everything has been completed, even the delta loads.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so this is my target system. Even in my target system, I can use the same T code, or I can go through SPRO. So you can use CFN IMG. It will give you this configuration node, which is related to the source system and the target system. Okay, so as you know, this is not relevant to us because in our case, the source system is ECC. But yes, if you are working on a project where your S4HANA itself is a source system, then you need to perform some configurations from here. You can see if your source system is SAP S4HANA, it gives you more options. We will talk about this once I complete the target system settings. We will talk about this, what are the additional options which are provided by SAP S4HANA as a source system. Okay, but as of now, I don't want to confuse you. If it is ECC to central finance, in ECC, there is only one activity that you need to carry out, that is making the system ready for the initial load, which is general replication settings. And then whatever other activities that you need to do in the target system settings. So let me go to the target system settings now. Within target system settings, let's go to the initial load. And then we will, once we complete the initial load, we will come back and we will see if there is anything which we missed and we need to discuss. So let's go to the initial load. Obviously, before you do the initial load, okay, you cannot directly come to the initial load. Before you do the initial load, definitely there are other settings also which must have been configured. So there are some settings which are required from the technical point of view, like connecting the AIF server, connecting the RFCs for the source system. Okay, and you can see these are all, most of the things are technical, but let me tell you if there is any functional activity that you need to see here. You can see define decimal places for currencies in source system. Okay, this is one important activity. Define the decimal places for currency in the source system. What exactly it means? So you know that in SAP, we can decide how many decimals we want to use. So let's take an example. In source system, let's say this is my source system and this is my target system. Let's assume for USD, in my source system, I am using 3 decimals. Okay. And in my target system, I'm using 2 decimals. So let's say a value is posted 100.123 USD in the source system. But here you can see the target system will be only able to take 2 decimals, right? So this is where there can be the inconsistency, and that is the reason SAP has provided this particular node. What exactly this node will do? So if you see this in detail, yeah, let's go to the define the decimal places for currencies in source system. Let's first see the documentation. So you can see in this activity, you set the number of decimal places for currencies of the source system if they are defined differently than the central finance system. If your source currency decimals and target currency decimals are same, no need to worry in that case. We don't need to perform any configuration here. This is only applicable if our source currency decimals and target currency decimals are different. Okay. You can see there are some scenarios like clearing transfer, central tax, central payment do not allow a smaller number of decimals in the central finance. Okay, if you are using these scenarios, then definitely what you need to do is you need to come to the target system and you need to make it as same as source system, or maybe more than source system, but it should not be less than the source system. But this is only applicable if you are using these options, if you are using these scenarios. Which are those scenarios? If you are using a clearing transfer, we are using clearing transfer currently. What do you mean by clearing transfer? Clearing transfer means our clearing information is also replicating, right? If I'm posting an invoice and then if I'm making the payment, so that clearing information is also replicated to the central finance system. So that is nothing but clearing transfer. We understood the central payment. Central payment means in your source system, the system will do the technical clearing and all the payments would be done from the central finance system. So that is central payment. Similarly, there is central tax reporting, which means again, whenever you are posting any accounting document, if there is any tax, that tax lines are also getting replicated to the target system. So the question is, where will you perform your tax reporting? Whether you will perform your tax reporting in the source system or you will perform your tax reporting in the target system. So if you are doing it in the source, no change. Whatever you are doing, you can follow that. If you want to do this tax reporting in the central finance system, then you need to activate the central tax reporting. For central tax reporting, again, there are some restrictions. Okay, SAP has provided the SAP note that if you use this, these are the restrictions. So as of now, it is recommended to carry out your taxation part in the source system itself. But anyways, if you are activating this, then this currencies, smaller digits are not allowed. Just keep in mind that if these scenarios are not used, then SAP has provided one configuration where I can go and tell the system very clearly that what is my source decimals allowed and what are my target decimals allowed. But if you are using the scenarios like clearing transfer, central payment, and the central tax reporting, in that case, this cannot be lower than this. It has to be either same or it has to be more than the source system. Okay, let's again go to see and what are the other details. So the requirements and all is okay. I'll just show you the example. So in the source system, they have provided this example. This is the source system. There is a currency which is HUF, Hungarian currency, is set to 0 decimals. Okay, while in the central finance, this currency is set to 2 decimal places. So you have to make the following entries. You need to tell the system what is configured in the source system. So you have to come here and you have to tell the system that in my logical system, in our case, our logical system is EPX. our currency, whatever currency you want, let's say for example HUF, and here you need to tell the system that what is the number of decimals allowed in my source system. Okay, we don't need to tell the system what are the number of decimals allowed in the target, because it already knows. This is the target system itself. Target system is already aware that what is the number of decimals allowed in the target system, but I just need to specify how much decimals are allowed in my source system. Okay, so if the number of decimals are less, what will happen? If the number of decimals are less, it will automatically do the round off. Okay, which means in this particular case, it will take 100.2. Sorry, 100.12 if the two decimals are allowed. And definitely this will create some rounding differences. Okay, if you see the report in the source system and in the target system, if the number of decimals are less, then at the consolidated level, there may be some differences due to the rounding differences. Okay, and that is the reason this rounding differences are fine till the time you are not using clearing transfer, you are not using central payment, you are not using centralized stakes. You are just using for the internal reporting. But if you are using this for central payment, central tax, clearing transfer, then it is not recommended to have lesser, it is recommended to have same or more. So even if it is a 4, it will not make any difference, right? If it is 4 here, it will just come here and 100.123. It will not make any difference. The problem is only when this is lower than the source system. Okay, so but this configuration is not only to tell whether it is lower or higher, it is just to tell what are the number of decimals. So it can be more, it can be less. You have to, if there is any difference between the source currency decimals and target currency decimals, you have to come here and you have to maintain the decimals allowed in the source system. Okay, this has to be done before the initial load, and this would be also used during your normal replication. Okay, I'll come to these points later on, or maybe let's discuss this also. Any questions on this decimal places? Okay, if not, let's go to the define the handling of reconciliation accounts per company code.
Vikram, I think SAP it's not, isn't it SAP defined only for 2 decimal places?
No. It is not like that. SAP, I think, supports up to 6. If you go here in the currency settings in the NetWeaver, so IMG NetWeaver general settings and currencies. Take the currency codes. Sorry, the next one, set the decimals. So set the decimals places for currencies. You can see here, it allows up to 5, I think, yes, up to 5. Adam, same question you are asking, right? So what it is saying is showing what is the maximum number. If you are adding new currencies, decimal to have to enter the currencies. Okay. Yeah, it is not showing here, but I think either 5 or 6. I heard somewhere it is 6. Here it is showing 5. Let me try to enter 6 here and see whether it is allowing or not. So 6 and enter another input value. What about
I think
5?
Vikram, for the amount, it will be only 2 decimal. Yeah, for calculation, it could be 5 decimal. That's what I understand.
No. It is for amount itself. Whenever you post any document, if it is let's say you are posting a document, let's assume in INR, and you want to support 3 decimals in INR, what you need to do is you need to come here and you need to specify, you can see 3. So 3 decimals are allowed for INR, which means whenever I'll be posting any accounting transaction, let's go to FP50. So 14/8/2020. Some background noise. Can you please? Yeah. So 100.1234. I'm trying 4 digits. Input must be this one. Okay, let me remove 1 digit. Enter. Yeah, you can see it is allowing up to 3 currencies, up to 3 decimals. As soon as I go for 4th character, it is stopping me. What's the point, Adam? It allows up to 5 in short.
Yeah. But mostly Vikram, it's used on the largest or supply chain and other side of it. Finance is mostly is a two digit, right?
No. Again, irrespective of whether it is logistics or finance, whatever is stored in the logistics, there are 2 ways of posting the accounting document. You do it from logistics or you do it from FI. But whatever currency settings you are defining, it is applicable for all. So even in the logistics, if the 3 currencies, 3 decimals are allowed, even in the logistics, they will not be able to use more than 3. Same goes for FI also.
I think, Vikram, the simple logic is that if you cannot give that like that amount in physical currency, then doesn't make sense. Like you cannot give 101.123 to anyone, right? You can
No,
give.
but there are,
Because vendor
Adam,
invoices
there are
are
some
coming with 2 digit. Vendor invoices are coming 2 digit. Because we are making a payment to like, I mean, I never seen a 3 digit to be very honest. I mean, there is. I remember in one of my clients, they had the 3 digit. But yeah, I
no.
mean,
Look, it is Forex. It is not about whether we use it or not. It is all about what SAP supports. Definitely, even I have not seen anyone using in INR also the decimals. But the thing is, what is supported by SAP? So SAP supports up to 5. How many we are using, that is up to us.
that's correct.
Right. Okay. So let's go to, I think I came out. So SPRO or CFIN-IMG, target system. Okay, let's talk about the handling of reconciliation accounts per company code. What exactly is this particular documentation? So in this activity, you make settings for each company code that define how the system handles the reconciliation account. This is very interesting setting. Let me show you. So you can see for your company code, okay, in our case, this is our target system. And in our target system, our company code is CF03. Reconciliation account, how the system will determine the reconciliation account. Let's see what are the different options. If you remember, this is same as the mapping settings that we have seen, whether we want to keep the data or we want to say determine a possible, or we want to say it is obligatory mapping, right? Same way, what would happen to the reconciliation account? So I think first let's read this properly and then you will get a complete idea. So you can choose one of the following. Number 1, redetermine a possible. The system uses the master data in the central finance system to determine the reconciliation account of AR and AP. So exception is this does not apply to postings that have already been posted to alternative reconciliation account in the source system. And keep is the postings are posted to the same reconciliation account in the central finance system. So if you remember, when we posted the accounting document, when we posted the AP document, okay, system asked us vendor mapping, and system also asked us the reconciliation account mapping, GL account mapping. Okay, so what we have done is we have told the system that this is my reconciliation account, this is my source reconciliation account, and this is my target reconciliation account in the key mapping. Same way, we have told the system that this is my source vendor and this is my target vendor. Again, we maintain that in the key mapping. So the question is, reconciliation account can also be automatically determined based on the vendor master data if you go with this option. If you go with this CF03 option, system should be able to determine the reconciliation account automatically from the vendor master data. Okay, but I think this is still not completely working, and that is the reason system asked us to provide the GL account. But maybe going forward, if you say redetermine if possible, this means system will determine the reconciliation account automatically based on the vendor reconciliation account. But again, this will be only applicable for invoices. Why do we use the alternative reconciliation account? What is alternative reconciliation account?
Or down payment or something?
Exactly, for down
Yeah.
payments or maybe some special GL transactions where we don't want to use the actual reconciliation account. So this particular configuration will work only for reconciliation accounts, not the alternative reconciliation account. Second option is keep data, which means whatever GL account is coming from the source system, same GL account system will try to post in the target system also. So system will not go to AP and AR reconciliation account to check which GL account I should post. It will just go to the GL account and it will keep the data. Okay, again, this is very risky. If you go for keep, what will happen? Your GL balances and your AR and AP balances, they are posting in different GL accounts. So that will create kind of confusion. It is always better to go with redetermine if possible, so that your AP and AR balances are always matching with your reconciliation accounts. Okay,
And
so
Vikram,
this
again, why it didn't work last time?
no, same thing I told you. It didn't work because this seems to be the new configuration which is still not 100% active. So
Got it.
although it worked, we are not saying it is not work. Only thing is the additional thing that we have done is we have mapped the GL to GL. Otherwise, it worked.
But again, it's raised the same comment you were saying earlier. It could raise the issue with the reconciliation as well if we map it with the incorrect GL account.
Yeah, there are two things. If you map it with the incorrect account, it will definitely go for inconsistency. Second is even if you go for keep, it may create the inconsistency. So it is always better to redetermine, and even if system is asking you, you have to provide the correct reconciliation account mappings. That is very important, right? So this is normally we go with the standard. This is what is provided by SAP. Normally they go with a redetermination. See, even our company code came automatically. We are not created here. So this is the normal recommended way you should go with. Same way you have a substitution of original document type in Central Finance. So you can tell the system that if my document type from the source system is AB, I want to use this document type as some another document type in my target system. Okay, so if you want to substitute your original document type, you can do it here. Okay, again, I don't know why SAP has provided this configuration here instead of not providing it as a mapping entity. This could have been very easily handled in the mapping entity also, right? Let's see if there is any documentation on this. So in certain scenarios, it is necessary for the original document type. Okay, forget about this. That defines the document type which the original document type substituted. Yeah, so this could have been handled in the mapping entity also, but this is also where SAP has provided the configuration where you can tell the system if your document types are different. So if your source document type is, let's assume, this is very important in case of the G document types that you have created in your source system. Okay, so for standard document types, no problem, but when it comes to the document type from the source system, which is Z, then definitely you need to maintain the configuration here that my document type from source system Z1 is assigned to my document type target system, maybe in Z2 or whatever document types you want to map. Okay, so this is document type mapping in short, nothing else. All other mappings we have seen, it can be either categorized. How many kinds of mappings are there? Overall, there are 2 or 3 types of mappings. There are 3 types of mappings, right? Number 1 is key mapping, where you maintain the master data mappings. Number 2 is value mappings, where you maintain the configuration object mappings. And number 3 is cost object mapping, where you tell the system the scenario, okay, whether from the production order, whether you want to create an internal order or internal order to internal order. I think yesterday also we have seen this. So where you can go and you can define the scenario, and for the scenario you can tell what are the different values that you want to transfer from the source to the target. So company code, business area, these are some of the information that would be extracted from the source, and they will be created as a cost object in the target system with the target values. Okay, so from which company code in the source system to which company code in the target system, from which business area in the source to which business area in the target system, all those things you can maintain here, based on which system will, let me show you. So system will show you the scenario, and this is where you will be carrying out the mapping. So business system order type in my source system would be CF01. What would be the corresponding order type in the target system? Company code in my source system, what would be the corresponding company code in my target system? If you have created a business area in the source system, what would be the corresponding business area in the target system? Those things you can easily maintain here. So just remember, there are three kinds of mappings. Number one is key mapping, where we maintain the master data mappings. Number two is value mapping for the configuration objects, configurable objects. And third one is cost object mapping, where we maintain the cost objects. What are the different cost objects supported? So these are the different source objects: production order, product cost collector, internal order, maintenance order, QM order, and process order. And they can be created here as either internal order, maintenance order, QM order, or product cost collector. So which means you can see the production order is not captured in the target system. Okay, so if you are using a production order and you want to transfer the values, it has to be created as a internal order. And here you need to tell the system whether the relation is going to be n:1 or 1:1, which means for each and every source object creation, do you want to create an object in the central finance, or with the group of objects in the source system, you want to create one single internal order or the cost object in the target system. Right, so these are the three kinds of mappings. Just remember this. And once your mappings are completed, then you are ready with the initial load. Okay, and before you do the initial load, you have to tell the system, again, this is something which is not related to initial load, clearing transfer, whether you want to transfer the clearing information of your AP and AR items. So in our case, we already tried this. We already posted some AP and AR documents, and we posted the payments, and the payment clearing information is getting transferred. Why? Because if you come here and see whether our source system is already active with the clearing transfer or not, you can see clearing transfer is already active for this source system. And that is the reason our clearing information is being transferred to our target system also. And this is at the client level. You cannot say that I want to transfer the clearing information of one company code, but not for other company code. That is not possible. So for one source system, whether the clearing information should be transferred or not, that you need to define at the client level. Okay, this is already active, and that is the reason we are able to pass the clearing information. If you just want to see what is clearing information, let me again show you one scenario. So if I post a AP invoice or AR invoice, okay, I'm just posting with reference 19. I think this is a vendor invoice. Let's see. Yeah, you can see 31 key, which is vendor invoice. I'm trying to post some, sorry, this is my target system. I should post this in the source. Let me go to FB60 and let me, or maybe F-02 so that I can copy. So I want to copy, post with reference. 19 is normally my AP document. So yeah, so you can see this is my posting key 31, which means I want to credit the vendor. This is my vendor in the source system. Enter. Okay, so this is what I want to post. I want to post this invoice, but this will be replicated only if my initial load is ticked. Okay, in the source system. Let's verify. I think we unticked just now. So if I go to CFIN IMG, and here, sorry, here if I execute this general settings, and for CF01, as of now, I'm just ticking this so that I can show you the clearing transfer. Okay, so if I post this document now, okay, if I post this document now, this will generate the accounting impact, and this document would be transferred to the central finance system. I can go to the central finance system, and if you go to error interface, or maybe let's directly go to transaction FB03 document list, and the documents posted today, which is 14th of August 2020. These are the 3 documents. I think this is the latest one, which we just now posted. You can see this 10. This is exactly what was posted in our source system. If you see the document that we just now posted is 10. So this document is replicated here in the target system. Okay, this is a document. Okay, and in both the source system and in the target system, this document is not cleared. Why? Because we want to send the clearing transfer when the payment is made, which means now if I go to my ECC system and if I make the payment of this particular vendor invoice, okay, and I will deselect all and the last one, the second last one. This is a payment that I want to make. Let's try to save. So this is a payment document generated. Let's go to the target system and see whether this document has been clearing transfer information has been transferred or not. So there should be 4 documents now. You can see this. The new document which is posted is this one, KZ. So this is called as clearing transfer. We are transferring the clearing information to the target system. Okay, so if you want to activate this clearing transfer, you have to activate from here. I think I closed it. So let me go to CFIN IMG. So this clearing transfer needs to be activated from here. Activate the clearing transfer for the source system. Currently it is already active. Otherwise you have to activate from here. Also, if you want to deactivate, because there is no deactivate program available here. So if you click on this, it will also tell you what is a deactivation program. So due to some reason you activated clearing and then you want to deactivate it, you can use this program to deactivate. But again, if you already activated and if there are already some open items, you cannot deactivate it very easily. So this is the deactivation program, which is not provided till now under the IMG. So you can see deactivate clearing transfer. So here you will enter your logical system and try to deactivate. See, you are getting error. Clearing transfer can't be deactivated because open items still exist in central finance. So once you activate, if you already posted some documents, it is very difficult to deactivate it. So activate it only when you are 100% sure. Okay, understood what is clearing transfer?
Yes.
Okay. Now, before you activate clearing transfer, let's assume this was a new functionality. If you remember, I told you previously that this clearing transfer was not available earlier. Earlier, what was happening is as soon as you post a document in the source system, it will be replicated in the target system, but it will automatically get technically cleared in the target system. If you remember, I shown you this scenario previously. If this is my source and this is my target, if I'm posting any AP invoice, it will remain open here, but it will be technically cleared automatically in target system. And that is the reason the problem was I was not able to generate my reportings properly. The whole purpose of using the central finance system is I should be able to generate all the reports, but this was a challenge. So let's assume a customer has already implemented this. Okay, customer is already using SAP Central Finance and there was no other option, and that is the reason what is happening is by default, all your invoices, AP invoices, AR invoices, when they are getting posted, they are getting technically cleared. And now customer wants to activate transfer clearing. So what customer needs to do first of all? Customer needs to reset the technical clearing indicator for all the open items. So this one also needs to be open for all the previous documents which are already posted. And that is exactly what this program can do. This program is to reopen the technically cleared items in the target system. What it will do, it will verify each and every technically cleared document with the status in the source system. If in the source system the document is still open, then it will remove those technical cleared related fields. Okay, and it will, in short, it will open those technically cleared open items. Okay, so this program you are to execute. You don't need to provide any information. This is all technical. You just need to execute, and for that particular system will automatically remove the technical clearing indicator. Okay, let's go through the documentation of this. So in this activity, you can reopen items which have been technically cleared in the target system, but which are still open in the source system. Okay, the system only reopens items from logical sender for which you have activated the clearing transfer. If the clearing transfer is not active, it will not unnecessarily reopen. What will happen if it will reopen? It will create a big inconsistency. On the one hand, we are saying we are not using clearing transfer. On the second hand, we are saying we want to keep open in source as well as target. So the target will always remain open because it is not sending the clearing information. Right? So this has to be taken care very, you have to take care of this very seriously, because otherwise if you activate and you don't do the other subsequent activities, it may create a inconsistency. And it is obviously, if you are going for the new implementation now, definitely you will go for activate clearing, because this functionality was not available earlier. That is the reason some of the customers have the choice. But now going forward, it is always better that my source and target are always getting the real-time values. Okay, unless you are not using central payment. If you are using central payment, then again there is a different game altogether. If you are using central payment, then what it will do is in the source system itself, it will do the technical clearing, and in the target system, it will keep it as open. Okay, so when you execute this program, automatically all those technically cleared items will be verified with the status in the source system. If the status in the source system is open, then those technical clearing will automatically get removed. Those fields related to technical clearing will automatically get removed. Which are those fields? There are 3 fields you will be able to see here. So clearing date, clearing entry date, and the clearing document number. So these 3 fields normally gets the information related to technical clearing. So once you execute this program, all these 3 fields which have got some values, they will become blank, which means they are open in the target system also. Once you execute this program, if you want to monitor, okay, so this is a program and this is a monitoring of this program, whether it may take few minutes to hours based on how much data you have in your target system. Okay, so if you want to monitor in the background what exactly the status, whether all those documents have been technically uncleared or not, so those things you can monitor using this program. Okay, it will see, it is showing you this kind of report. So if it is finished, you will be able to see finished. If there are any errors, you will be able to see the errors here. The warning messages, error messages, you would be able to see here. Okay, and last one before you go for the initial load is the configuration consistency check. This is a single program which will verify that all your configurations, above configurations like setting up a system, proper mappings, whether the key and the value mappings are available or not. All those things are checked when you execute this configuration consistency check report. This program you can execute before you start the replication, before you start the initial load. See, currently what we have done is we have created a source document, and then in the error interface we are able to see that this GL is not mapped to the target GL. This cost center is not mapped to the target cost center. What you can do is, if you execute this program, this will highlight all those mapping issues here itself. Okay, so if you solve these errors, nothing will go to the error interface, right? This will verify all your mappings, whether all the mappings are properly mapped or not. Okay, so this program will give you all those incomplete mappings which are not done properly, due to which you may face the issues in the initial load, or you may face the issues in the real-time replication. So this program is a continuous program. This is not only one time, because you keep on creating the data in the source system. You will keep on creating the GLs, cost centers, vendors, customers. So those, whether those are replicated or not, you can come here. Okay, currently in this system there is some issue because someone has activated I think central text part at the client level, and that is the reason it is giving me some weird error. I'll just show you. But otherwise, this report, if you execute in the proper way, it will just show you the mapping related problems. Okay, so if I execute the CF01, you can see this is giving me these errors. These errors are related to central tax reporting. If you activate central tax reporting, there are a lot of technical components also need to be activated. So currently, which 3 technical components we activated in the system? If you go to LTRC, which are the 3 replication objects? We have CO document, we have FI document, and we have CO objects, right? But in addition to this, if you want to execute tax related one, then even that tax related object needs to be activated. Okay, with restrictions, obviously. So I'll show you which SAP note is relevant for central tax reporting. Okay, so which is, as of now, it is always better to go with the tax reporting in the source system itself. But yes, going forward, when SAP comes up with the advanced features from the tax reporting, from the central payment, even you need to activate those. Okay, so because this object is missing here related to the tax reporting, that is the reason we are getting this consistency error. But normally you will get the errors related to this is not mapped, the general ledger account which is created in the source system is not mapped to the target system, the cost element that is created in the source system is not mapped to the target system. Those kind of errors you will be getting here. Okay, so if you solve these errors here itself, then there is nothing to worry about the error interface. Most of the time your error interface would be blank, everything would be successful. But if you missed, let's say you created a customer in the source and you have not created a corresponding customer in the target, and you have not created the key mapping, then if you come here and you execute this, it will clearly show you that this mapping is awaiting. This mapping is not done properly. And you can go to the key mapping, again you execute, that error will be gone, and you will be able to perform the initial load as well as the real-time replication. Okay, so once this consistency check is over, then comes your initial load part, which is very straightforward. What exactly initial load will do? Again, what do you want to do the initial load? What are the 3 objects that you want to consider in the initial load? Number 1, FICO document. Number 2, CO document, which I told you, if you are doing the reconciliation indicator, that is not required. And number 3, you want to do the cost object initial load. What do you think? What should be the flow? What should be loaded first? Out of these 3 objects, which object should be loaded first? Exactly. Cost object is the first object that has to be loaded. If the cost object itself is not available, then how the FI and CO postings will be made? Okay, maybe FI is fine, but how exactly the CO reconciliation postings will be made? Because we are using FI and CO together, that is the reason definitely we have to first go ahead with the cost object replication. Number 2 would be finance FICO postings, and number 3, if required, it would be CO postings. Right, so this flow is very important. It should start with cost object, then FI, and then third one is my normal CO posting, secondary CO postings. So if you want to do the initial load, maybe let's go through the documentation, or maybe we can ignore this. We already know all these things. Initial load settings. In initial load settings, again, there are 2 or 3 important configurations, and then the programs. Okay, what are the important? Is it too much for today? I think we discussed many things. Are you still or you feel that this should be taken separately?
I think we'll take it separately, in my opinion.
No problem. Yeah, I was thinking that maybe this will not take much time, but we discussed a lot about all these activities.
Right.
No problem. We can take it separately. That is not a problem at all.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What was that clearing transfer? I didn't follow that. What was that? Could you just explain one more time?
Yeah. Clearing transfer is transferring the clearing information. In AP and AR, we discussed that when you post an invoice and then you make the payment, the clearing document is generated.
Correct.
So that document, whether you need to transfer or you need to do the technical clearing. If you don't transfer the clearing document, the normal behavior of system is it will just do the technical clearing in the central finance.
Okay.
The source
But then you would like to have that clearing document, right? Clearing document transferred.
Definitely. That option is why that is available as an option is because previously that functionality was not available. So for new customers, if they want to activate, they can go with that. But by default, if a new customer is implementing central finance for the first time, it should be definitely activated. This one should be definitely activated.
Activated, correct. Okay, good. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so maybe I will not go to initial load today, but let's utilize this 5-10 minutes of time and understand some of the things which cannot be replicated by central finance. Okay, so this is also very important because you were asking about the period end activities yesterday. Even those things are also highlighted here. So we understood that asset accounting document replication is not supported. Maybe I will write here. This is not a complete statement. It is asset document in source will be replicated as GL document in target. You remember this? We have posted one asset document. So asset-wise report you would not be asset-wise report you would not be able to generate in your target system because asset-related values are not replicated to the target system. Number 2 is postings to COFI reconciliation ledger. If you remember, maybe I'm not sure whether I discussed this in the central finance batch or not, but we discussed this in detail during our S4HANA finance batch, that reconciliation ledger is not available anymore in S4HANA. Okay, so why this reconciliation ledger was required in ECC? I given you one example before discussing this. I shown you how the reconciliation is important. This one I shown you. So if you are creating a FI document and then you are going for secondary posting. Okay, so if you want to reconcile your CO with FI, ECC was using reconciliation ledger concept, so that whenever you post any secondary posting and if you want to update your financial books also with the secondary posting, then this reconciliation ledger option was used. But now in S4HANA, we don't have a reconciliation ledger concept, which means although the CO FI posting will be replicated, but it will not be replicated as a reconciliation ledger. It will be replicated as a GL reconciliation posting, or you can say it will be replicated as a universal journal posting, right? Ultimately, whatever adjustments, whatever secondary postings you have done, that would be applicable, but that would be viewed as a universal journal posting rather than the reconciliation ledger posting. Okay. Then you have clearing and clearing resets are not transferred as part of the initial load. This is important. So clearing transfer, just now we discussed, whenever you post a AP invoice and then if you want to make a payment, the clearing information is replicated. Okay, replicated and load, these are two different things. So clearing information is replicated, that is for sure. But clearing information, is it considered in the initial load? The answer is no. Clearing and clearing resets are not transferred as a part of initial load, but you can activate the transfer of clearing via ongoing replication. So replication wise, transfer of clearing is possible, but in terms of initial load, the clearing information and clearing reset informations are not transferred. Okay, but ultimately, when you do the initial load and after that, once you start doing the real-time replication, within few days, your values will start matching. Okay, so this is not a real worry, but yes, technically you should understand that clearing and clearing resets are not transferred as part of the initial load. Then recurring and sample, I think this was something which Adam was asking yesterday. Recurring entries and sample documents, will it be replicated or not? Just remember one thing, recurring entries, sample documents definitely not, but recurring entries are created without accounting impact. And then using that recurring entries, the accounting documents are created every month, right? So recurring entries, which are without accounting documents, they will not be replicated to central finance. But monthly postings, which are triggered based on the recurring entries, those will be posted, those will be replicated to central finance. I hope you are clear with the recurring entries. What is a recurring entry? Normally, we create a recurring entry as a kind of template itself, which would be used every month end. Every month end, based on the recurring entries, system will post some accounting document. So those accounting documents will be definitely replicated. But recurring entries definition itself will not be replicated. Is it clear? You know what is recurring entries?
Yeah.
So the template will not be replicated, right? You're saying?
Exactly. Templates
MBD one, whatever you're. Okay.
So let me tell you in this way. So you have created a. Let me show you example. You have created, this is my source, and you have created a recurring entry here. In this recurring entry, you are telling the system that for 1, 2, 3 months, perform the posting. Okay, this is, you are entering in the recurring. I will be able to see this in the source system, that the recurring entry, and I will be able to see that in the recurring entry definition, these are the postings that need to be done in next 3 months. And then here would be the actual posting. Posting in month 1, posting in month 2, posting in month 3. So system will not replicate this definition. System will be able to replicate once the posting is done in the first month, it will be replicated here. Once the posting is done in the second month, it would be replicated here. Once the posting is done in the third month, it would be replicated here. So this definition part is not available. This will not be replicated, but the postings which are triggered based on this definition, those will be replicated immediately in real time.
So Vikram, what will happen to the down payment request? Because that one is also.
That is my next point. That is my next point. This is clear? Recurring and sample documents? Yeah.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah. Coming to noted items, which you said down payment request. Again, this is something which was not previously supported, but now it is also supported. Previously, even down payment requests were not supported. So what is a down payment request or what is a noted item? It is not a complete accounting document, but it is just information that I need to collect this much amount from this particular vendor, or I need to pay this much amount as an advance payment to this particular customer, or the other way around. So noted items, when you create any noted item in the source system, let's say you are creating a down payment request in the source system, that is also replicated in the target system. But remember, there are a lot of other spatial GL indicators. For example, bank guarantee, for example, letter of credit. There can be a lot of other spatial GL indicators, which are also called as noted items. Those noted items will not be replicated. The replication objects are only down payment request and payment request, which are normally part of treasury. These payment requests are normally part of treasury module. So this down payment request and payment request are only supported. Apart from this, all the other spatial GL indicators, which are also called as noted items, those are still not replicated. Adam, you got your answer? So if you try to create a down payment request in the system, you will be able to see that that is getting replicated. But there are a lot of other spatial GL indicators. If I just show you in the system.
So Vikram, this payment request for down payment request is still stored in the AC docket table?
Down payment request, good question. Let's try. I think
The
it will
only
be
reason
stored
is
because
the only reason is it's replicating most of the time with the AC docket table. That's why.
right. It should replicate. I think it will be replicating. Let's see.
Okay.
So what I wanted to show you is these are the different spatial GL indicators. And if you see this down payment, this is down payment. I want to go to down payment request, which is F. Let's go with CF01. So you can see this is my down payment request spatial GL indicators. If you go to properties, see wherever this tick is on, spatial GL indicator types, you can see down payment and down payment request. Only this kind of noted items where this indicator is ticked. So others, bills of exchange and all, they will not be replicated. Wherever this is down payment or down payment request, only these noted items would be replicated. Okay, so let me take an example. So if you want, we can just create one down payment. Our reconciliation indicator for customer is AR, and we have to create one more alternative reconciliation account, which we can map here. So alternative reconciliation account, let's go to FS00. Let me copy this one itself. AR, copy. What is the next number available? 2006. Okay, AR, I will say DP, down payment, and save it. So this 2006, I will assign here, 2006, save. Same thing I need to do for A also, because ultimately it is to be converted to the down payment. So 2006 and save it. Okay, and let's try to create a down payment request now. So I'll go to accounting, financial accounting, AR, document entry, down payment, and a request. So 14/08/2020, account, we have two customers. I'm taking this one. Enter, let's say amount is this one, due on 31st of August 2020, and let's try to save it. So this is a document number which got generated, 14 8 times 0. Let's see now whether this is triggered in my target system or not. Definitely it may ask for the alternative reconciliation account also. Let's see in the error monitor first. Okay, so I will restrict it to today's date, which is 14th. I can see there are 10 documents. Let's double click on this. And let's see. So the one that we posted recently is this one. Is this one correct? Let's see.
It
FB0.
surprised me. It surprised me without mapping.
No, it is not.
Right.
So it's not replicated. Let's see what is wrong. So where is my
Maybe
error?
locked.
So 14th, and then this is the latest one. It is not replicated. Let's see why it is not replicated.
Maybe the
Let me
lock table.
more thing. Yeah, let's see LB03 and document list. Will it include the noted item? I don't think so. So let's go to
FBL
FBL.
file.
Yeah, FBL file, noted items, and let's try to execute.
Oh, it's here.
No, is this a noted item?
No, this is the old item.
This is the old item, yes.
Right. This is the old item.
This is the old item. This is not a noted item. So noted item, it is not replicated as of now. Let's see if there is any. Uh, there is no separate setting for this, but let me see what is wrong. CFIN IMG. Okay, let me take this and come back to you tomorrow instead of trying here. But just remember, as of now, other noted items are not supported. It only supports the noted item related to down payment request and the payment request. I will show you this one maybe tomorrow, maybe sorry, in the next session. Okay, so this one we will park as of now. And then park document, obviously park documents is not an accounting document, so that would not be replicated. Balance carry forward you have to do separately. Okay, so if you want to generate your reports in your central finance system, you have to carry out the balance carry forward independently for the central finance system. So if you do the balance carry forward in the source system, it will not automatically generate the balance carry forward items for the target system. In short, balance carry forward needs to be done separately for central finance. It will not be repeated. Okay, and obviously the last point we are discussing from day one itself, the posting from central finance system cannot go back to the source system. If this is required, then definitely there is a enhancement or there is a technical stuff required. Okay, so if you want to transfer some data from central finance to the source system, then this is definitely not possible as a part of standard central finance functionality. So any questions?